Well, Senator Inhofe, AOPA, and Mark Baker owe you a great deal of gratitude for all the stuff that you've done for general aviation. And I just want to start off by saying thank you a whole bunch for what you've done. And we'll talk a little about some of these questions, about some of the things that have you had such a huge impact in general aviation. But you also had some fun along the way too, I know.
Oh, absolutely. I did this in all the years. You got to keep in mind that I've been to Oshkosh, how many years now in a row?
43.
43, yeah, 43 years
in a row.
In a row. And you know, it's something I really love, and people are always asking, you know, why do you do this? Why do you do this every year? Well, you do. There are two reasons. One is, these people you see here are not normal people. They're great people, and they are people who really love. Most of them love the Lord, but it's something that everyone agrees on. So when I come here, I'm talking to people that I've known for a long period of time. I consider them my best friends, but I only see them once a year.
Once a year.
And so we do that, and then the other thing I do. Our viewers need to know this, and you already know it, but I'll repeat it. That when I come here, it's always with 2 or 3 things that need to be done legislatively that you can save the whole system, and that's what I do. And the one that I'll be talking about, and I've already talked about, is what's her name from
Senator Cantwell from Washington.
Yeah, okay. Senator Cantwell. Mm-hmm. She's not a lot of fun, but she's the one who stopped one of the bills that we're working on. And all we have to do is for me to ask, and I've done this already, a group of people, what do you know? Does anyone here know this particular senator? And they'll say yes. And I said, now, nobody else, it doesn't make any difference. It has to be someone from the same state that she's from. And
That's
she's
right.
the one who's holding us back on one bill. And you got to get tough with her. And I promise you, that'll do. So I can't think of one time that I've been here to one of these events where we didn't actually challenge and actually win on the thing. It does work. Yeah, it does. So anyway, those are the 2 things I do here.
Good. You know, my first Oshkosh was 1977, but I didn't make every year since then, but almost every year. So you still win. So that's good. You got 43 in a row. I have about probably 40.
Yeah.
Anyway, what have you been hearing from our friends here at Oshkosh and our constituents in general aviation? I mean, yeah, obviously aviation is doing pretty good. But what else? What's on your mind?
Well, they're here, and they're you know, these people will have issues of their own. But there are issues that you and I know all about, and certainly you do from AOPA people are. And so you hear that what you guys in Washington are doing, and all the problems that you're creating, all the concern you have about passing all this environmental stuff and all this. What we're talking about here is important, and these are things that are important. And that's what I hear from them.
Yep, these issues are important.
Mm-hmm.
And in your 36 years, hard to believe, right?
It's hard for me to believe.
Your accomplishments are so significant. The Bob Hoover thing, which you could talk about, the Pilot's Bill of Rights, the third-class medical formula, which you and I worked on very closely.
Absolutely.
And then we worked closely on the privatization that didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
You know, how do you think about
that
those
guy's still a lobbyist out there, but he's not a very popular one.
Well, you and I worked pretty closely on those issues.
Yeah, I really am. When you mentioned the ones you mentioned, I have to say that the one I've always been closest to is Hoover. And the reason is, you might remember my story down in South Padre Island when I landed, and they claimed I landed illegally and all that. And the next day there's a picture in the Washington newspaper, and so I had my licks there. But I ended up winning on those things.
Right.
And so, you know, we know that we can win, but you got to be tough enough to do it.
We actually now have the same rights as everybody else. We're innocent until proven guilty. That's kind of a unique thing for the FAA.
What's that?
Where they were innocent until proven guilty.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Look, there I was, and I'd landed legally on a runway down there, and there happened to be an inspector there. And he said, well, he said words to the effect, we got you now. And I said, wait a minute, you're supposed to be on our side. I pay your salary. And I ended up winning on that thing. But that is what you have to go through. And I have to say that a lot of the people that are the FAA inspectors, they're good people, dedicated people. They love their job and they do it right. All it takes for any kind of a system like this is one bad guy, or one or two bad people who really want to take advantage of you, and you get to. That's exactly what happened to Hoover. And did you know this? But most people don't know. I had to actually pass a bill in the United States Senate to get that done.
Right.
Now that's why when people say of the different things you've done, which one was the most memorable to you? Well, it was because of that, because you look at the eyes of Hoover, who some people would say was the most outstanding in his field. And the look in his eyes when they took his license away, he's had it for a lifetime. I mean, tears and all of that. So that was the most, memorable. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to know Bob Hoover, and he's done some great things for AOPA before he passed, and we still continue to have the Hoover Award because of his name. He wanted to live on as one of the best aviators of all time. So thanks for taking care of him.
Yeah.
But the number of phone calls that you reached out to me on the BasicMed, and how we worked together to find a way to get the other people to understand how right that was. 75,000 folks now flying under BasicMed because of you.
Well, BasicMed it wouldn't have happened except for you, AOPA, because we had to reach in there and get it, and we did. And it was not something that was going to happen automatically. But you guys came through, and we did the right thing.
Got the right thing on behalf of 70,000 pilots. Thanks.
Yeah, 75,000.
75,000.
Yeah.
And growing. So one of the biggest things facing the GA community right now that I'm involved in, and I know you're involved in very closely, is the long replacement of this 100-year-old fuel called lead, low lead fuel.
Well, okay, the low lead fuel, and of course you and I are, we know the guy that's developed the fuel that's going to end up being the #1 fuel. And I just left him a few minutes ago, and I've known him for a long time. You go to places like, you and I have both been any of these places overseas, and they say, "Oh, you're from Oklahoma." Oh, well, then you know that's where all of our fuel is going to come from, and that's what is known more than anything other single thing from people out on the outside is what we've done, and that's been a real focus in Oklahoma. Now, I talked to the new guy that I don't have a lot in common with, who is the Secretary of the Transportation, 2 days ago, and he was not even aware at that time that this issue was out there, and obviously it should have been, but it's one that at least we've weighed in there. I told George about that this morning, and I think it's going to happen. So, yeah, there are a lot of other issues you and I could talk about, and in fact we have done it in the past, talking for a long period of time. But you and I have one thing in common. We want to stay with something until it gets done.
We've got to get it safe. We want to get it done. Get something done.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're going to get figured out. And I'm pretty confident we're going to get a new fuel in a reasonable period of time, well ahead of the 2030 plan. And we're just anxious to get moving forward. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of politics involved in it. That's where we'll need your help from time to time on it. But I think we got a couple of players that'll get there.
Yeah. No, I think so too.
Good.
I think so. We're on the road to get that.
In the meantime, we're going to have to use a little of your flex and muscle to make sure that some of these California airports don't stop selling it, because it's a huge safety issue.
California airports have stopped. Some of them have stopped selling it.
A huge safety issue.
And I've been around the California legislators in the Senate long enough to know that they were smiling when they they took that guy's ability to fly away from it. Yeah. And we're not going to let that happen. We're not going to let that happen.
So one of our switching topics a bit is, the FAA finally awarded the first round of the workforce development grants, and that was something that you put in the 2018 bill.
We did.
And your home state of Oklahoma, which I was just at 2 weeks ago.
57
high schools, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're the best in the country.
Best in the country, but not even a close second. But we had to, we're pretty good at that in Oklahoma, and we had to make that happen so that others can know. All of a sudden now, because I've talked to all the other members of in the Senate, and they're happy that for us that we're leading the field, but they want to be in with us. So we are providing the leadership that is accomplishing this. And what are they accomplishing? We're letting these kids, these young kids, have the opportunity to get their treatment the way it needs to be, and better than anyone else is doing it. And so with the other, and you've already done this, talk to some of the other, in the fact that we're doing it, and why should Oklahoma have 57 high schools that are teaching aviation and maintenance, and we're not, they would say. So that was a huge success, and we're again leading the way in Oklahoma.
You're leading the way, and I'm proud of AOPA's part of it. We are able to get that free tuition. There's no cost to this curriculum to be in these high schools, and we've got a lot of great donors supplying that. But long term, we need to keep thinking about the certainty for the general aviation pilot, because there's been a lot of ups and downs. And one of the things that you've been working on is a National Center for the Advancement of Aviation.
Yeah, and what's good about that is that gets everybody. I mean, you have I mean, every special interest, every personal interest, they're all check into the same place, and so it's not owned by just one group. It's got everybody in there, and it's the first time you can say that, because there, as you well know, as much or maybe more than some others, there's competition out there, and the competition, some of them don't want just to advance the issue in aviation, and they want to get something personal for themselves.
Right.
Well, this is all it's out there. We're getting it done. People appreciate it, and I've actually talked about this one on the floor.
Well, I appreciate you doing that, because that really leads to how we make this country what it is. One of the greatest exports we have is aviation.
Sure.
All the stuff we make, all the stuff we furnish and maintain, and all the jobs that get created that are good jobs in this country are unique to America.
Yeah, and the best evidence of that, I think, is how these kids in high school have responded.
That's right.
Now, and I know this is one thing, AOPA, that you've been very active in. Get the kids in early.
Yeah.
Get the kids in
Ninth
so
grade.
that they're doing, and by the time a kid gets maybe junior or senior in high school, they've already decided what they want to do. You got to get them earlier than that. And then all of a sudden, they're going through classes where they can learn about the magic of aviation. And they love it. And that's the reason that we excelled in doing that. We let them know that. So when you see that, and I've seen them, not each one of the high school professors and teachers, but a lot of them, and they say, hey, this is a fun thing. It's the easiest thing in the world to get a kid interested in.
That's right.
They don't know anything about this, and all of a sudden yeah, I want to do that. And these are the very areas that we can dictate where the need is and get it done, and we're doing it.
That's right, and I appreciate your support on that. One of the silly things that happened last year, the bureaucrats in the FAA, was this LODA, the Letter of Authorized Deviation Authority. So if you have an experimental airplane like you have to have a LODA to get done. I know you've been trying to get rid of that silly language that the lawyers and the FAA decided was important. In fact, I think it gets in the way of safety. It doesn't help safety.
No, it does. It does not promote safety, and it's something that obstructs the successful efforts that we have made. And when I say we, I'm talking specifically about you and me, but then all these people who are out here. I mean, they're the ones that probably more than half of these people are single issue people. And what's their issue? We know what their issue is. They love aviation and flying.
That's right. So with 5 more months, you got a lot on your plate. What are the couple top things you want to get done in the next 5 months while you finish up?
One of the things, this will kind of surprise you, I have I have some areas of my interest. Obviously, aviation is one. Obviously, the military is one. I mean, right now, In fact, when I first got into the United States Senate, and that was many years ago, I decided what areas do I want to specialize in. Well, there's an old document that nobody reads anymore. It's called a Constitution, and the Constitution tells us what we're supposed to be doing in Washington. Not all this garbage that you hear about, and they are primarily, over and over again, it is what is saving America, building a strong defense, and roads and highways. Those are the two issues that our founding fathers said this is what we need to be doing, and that's what we are doing. So I've developed close relationships with people. I mentioned a minute ago, there's our good friend from South Dakota who I've worked with for many, many years, and he loves these issues, and what he is doing now, he's going to be, and has already doing it. He's going to be helping me, even though I'll be leaving the United States Senate, but I'm still going to be active. I know all the people. I know what we're going to pass, and all the ones that are there, like Mike is. He's going to pass the legislation exactly the way I've done it. And there are others too, but I mentioned him because I know you know him, and I know that you know that he is a big aviation guy. And so he's going to be passing this stuff. Then I will take this up to Oshkosh, and I'll take it to the people and do exactly what I've been doing in the past. So you're going to be real proud of him. We're not going to miss a beat on that.
Well, I appreciate you training both Senator Rounds and I
well,
how to go forward. Mike Rounds is a good friend. He does love aviation, has a passion that you and I have for aviation, with all things wings and rotors.
Yeah.
And I look forward to working with him, but we're going to miss you. But I'm going to see you at the 44th, the 45th, 46th time you come to Oshkosh.
Okay.
We're going to stay in touch.
Yeah, we will do that. I'm going to be here. I would come by and see you as one of my closest and best friends if I weren't going to be involved in all this other stuff.
But you're going to be.
We're going to be together, you and me.
Yeah, man.
Good.